All right, Colts traveling to Houston to face the Texans. Texans 5.5-point favorites, despite this one being a closer than that week 1 game. 46.5 points is the over-under. DeForest Buckner may be back after injuring his ankle all the way back in week 2. Coming now off IR, he may be playing. That would be massive for the Colts because they'll need it with that defense. You see the tick marks going in this one, the tail of the tape. Head coach, these were the 2 favorites, in my opinion, for head coach of the year. A year ago, 2 of the best rookie head coaches we saw, so I can't give it to either side. Quarterback, obviously, given to the Texans. Receivers, though, I'm giving to the Colts with Nico Collins still out. Backfield, calling it a wash if Jonathan Taylor is back in this one. O-line given to the Colts, but D-line given to the Texans. Linebackers, a wash. Secondary to the Texans. A lot of evenly matched stuff here. It's just, can Anthony Richardson actually show that up?
Yeah, I mean, if he can hit the free throws, if he can hit the layups, this team can be really dangerous. You talked about the check mark going to the Colts for receiver. I love this Colts receiver room. You got Pittman, Pierce, Downs. These guys can make plays all over the field in different styles. I mean, we saw Joe Flacco throw the moon ball to Michael Pittman on a prayer a couple weeks ago. He comes down with it. He's a guy that can win that type of stuff. Josh Downs, the ability to get outside the numbers and do these choice option routes and beat guys up at the point of attack. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Only Richardson will throw to him.
Alec Pierce is fun too. Well, I'm getting to my point here. I'm getting to my point. My point is the Colts have a better chance if Joe Flacco's in at quarterback. I disagree having Anthony Richardson in there at quarterback, but that's a decision. I'm not the head coach. I'm not the OC. So it's going to be Anthony Richardson. They need to see him make good decisions with the football. We need to see him hit the layups.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson.
And CJ Stroud needs to have a better game than last week too.
So Josh Downs in the 3 games with Joe Flacco, 82 yards, 69 yards, 66 yards. This past week, 3 yards.
Come on, man. I mean, the proof is in the pudding there. You've got an offensive line that obviously they can run the football. If you have Anthony Richardson in there, you're going to want that offensive line to run it, your running back room to make hay, and Anthony Richardson make the defense pay when they do respect that running game. That's when Anthony Richardson comes into play. Joe Flacco, his offensive line, they have to sit up there and protect a long time. They've proven that they can do that with a 40-year-old quarterback back there. And Joe Flacco has proven that he can get the ball out on time and in rhythm with that receiving core. They're much more dangerous on offense with Flacco, but here we are with Richardson.
Here's the thing, though, and it's a difficult conversation because I think we all can objectively say the offense looked better with Joe Flacco. But this is not a Super Bowl caliber roster by any means.
So you're trying to get your team better for
like you draft this guy 4th overall. He hasn't played a lot of football. I do think you give him a longer leash than you would say, a guy in year 3 who's still looking like this, or just like you give him a longer leash than a guy who's maybe, say, if Bo Nix looked like this next year, and we're having this conversation of the guy, his backup looks better. Say Zach Wilson looks better in Denver. Then I'm like, okay, Bo Nix has played a shit ton of football.
Yep.
Bo Nix has played more football than any college
Anthony's been in and out more than
So
whatever.
I think it's a different conversation giving Richardson's history, but we've mentioned, I think, multiple times on the show this week, the Colts just have an absolute gauntlet of a schedule coming up.
Yeah.
That they will be dogs in like 5 straight games. That if it does go south, and I'm thinking like south, where multiple games, probably let's say 3 straight games of him, sub 50 completion percentage, waving on throws left and right, scoring in the teens. This offense is too talented to score in the teens. When Joe Flacco comes in, they're dropping 37 on people.
Yep.
It's like they're too good.
Explosives.
I think at that point, it's very valid to just say, hey, we're sitting you down and you got to go back to the drawing board with your footwork. You can't be doing Dan Orlovsky had a great tweet. If you want to go check it out, really highlighting some of the footwork issues from him that we saw even this past week, where it's just like, figure that the F out, and then come back to us next year, right? Yep. Like, come back to us when you got that, because you're so talented.
There's so many tools that we can use that Anthony Richardson has just naturally. He's just such a naturally gifted athlete. If you can turn him a little bit more into a quarterback, things can get so dangerous.
All that being said, I actually like the Colts in this one.
You know what? They've got DeForest Buckner back. Yep. Latu is going to be rushing the edge. He was dinged early on. So you got those 2 guys. Where are you going to respect that defensive front the most? Are you going to worry about the edges? Are you going to worry about the A and B gap? That's what remains to be seen for this Texans group, whose offensive line has struggled a little bit lately, right? I mean, CJ Stroud has looked less than comfortable and confident with that group in front of him. And we're going to see if this defensive front at nearly full strength is going to be enough to keep CJ Stroud at bay.
And they had Nico Collins last time. He went for 117, 6 catches.
Kind of a big deal.
No Nico Collins this time. So give me the Colts to cover at least.
What's the line?
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5. Give me the Texans.
Okay. All right.
If it was Joe Flacco, we'd be having a different story. I've said this every week.